After discovering that he is part of a line of guardians, an insecure teenager enlists the help of magical animals to prevent the sacred amulet from falling into the hands of a dark sorceress. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, The Tiger's Apprentice, from 2024. In Hong Kong, in the year 2009, an old woman and her grandson are traveling by car when a dark demon appears and starts chasing them down the road. Used to running away from these creatures, Mei Ling speeds up the vehicle and distracts the monster, which ends up being hit by a truck. Suddenly, other demons appear to try and capture them, but the old woman manages to get rid of them easily, without even having to get out of the vehicle. As the guardian flees with Tom in the back seat, the animals of the Chinese horoscope appear to protect her and eliminate the evil spirits. At that moment, the car Mei Ling is driving turns off and a green mist begins to form around it. Seeing the old woman and her grandson in danger, the tiger rushes to protect them and teams up with Mrs. Mei Ling to fight Lu. 15 years later, in the city of San Francisco, Tom has become a teenager and has just entered high school. Despite being targeted by the school bullies, the young man never misses a chance to provoke them and ends up getting some few punches. However, when Liam tries to offend his grandmother by saying that Mei Ling is a witch, Tom becomes furious and accidentally uses his powers to throw the boy into the ceiling. Rav was nearby at the time of the fight and saw what the young man had done. Then, at the end of the lesson, she decides to go and talk to Tom and offers to walk him home. While they're skateboarding around the city, Rav takes the opportunity to get to know Tom and investigates how he got his powers. That afternoon, the young man presents the facade of his house, which is much more colorful and decorated than the other houses in the neighborhood. Tom reveals that he was once the laughingstock of the school staff because everyone thought he lived in a Chinese temple. Before entering the house, Tom says goodbye to Rav and Mei Ling is excited to see her grandson talking to a girl, but the young man says they are just friends. The truth is that Tom is ashamed of his themed house and feels bad every time someone from school comments on where he lives. So, Mei Ling assures him that even if those talismans that surround the house seem silly, they are important for the family's protection. At this point, the old woman realizes that her grandson has a black eye and helps him treat the wound. For a long time, Mei Ling has been waiting for the right moment to tell her grandson the secret that her family's lineage carries and asks the young man to put the amulets back so that they can talk. While Tom is fulfilling his grandmother's request, Mr. Hu appears and reveals that there is a correct way to hang those talismans. The man then asks how long the protection spell has been deactivated and enters the house to check that Mei Ling is all right. When she meets up with her old friend again, the old woman is extremely happy and Hu tells her that he smelled magic at Tom's school that morning. Immediately, Mei Ling realizes that her grandson has learned how to use magic and asks what happened during the fight with Liam. When he hears that Tom has thrown the young man through into the roof, Hu says that they need to get out of town, as some evil ally may have witnessed Tom's powers. Frightened, the young man asks who that guy is and he tells him that he is one of the 12 warriors of the Zodiac, sworn to protect the guardian of the Phoenix. This whole story makes Tom even more confused, so Hu realizes that Mei Ling still hasn't told her grandson the truth. Suddenly, the elderly woman notices a negative presence approaching and the mirror in her house begins to crack. At that moment, Mei Ling and Hu prepare for battle and the woman uses her magical powers to produce a protective shield around them. When she realizes that a powerful sorceress is coming, Mei Ling orders Hu to flee with Tom to safety while she fights the Lu demons who have been sent to steal the Phoenix. Seeing his grandmother in danger, Tom returns to save her, but is surrounded by one of the monsters. At that moment, Hu assumes his true form and transforms into a tiger to protect the young man. However, when he sees new monsters approaching, the feline decides to flee and takes Tom away from the creatures. Trying to jump from one roof to another, Hu ends up being injured by the demon and Tom is almost captured. While running away, the young man slips and hangs onto a pipe, which soon breaks in half. As well as losing the fight, Tom had his amulet stolen and didn't realize it until he was warned by his mentor. While taking the necklace back, he spots a rat and Hu immediately turns into a tiger to catch it. During the escape, the rodent ends up on Tom's shoulder and the young man manages to throw it into the wall with an energy sphere. Just then, the rat turns human and Sydney introduces himself. According to Hu, that guy is a thief who makes a living from selling stolen objects and advises Tom to watch out for him. After assuming his true form, Sydney tells him that he saw Lu the night before and Hu discovers that the villain wasn't eliminated in the house explosion. The rat says he was wandering through the sewer when he came across the villain entering an abandoned mansion. The witch appeared to be seriously injured and crawled into the fountain. Then, when she came out of the water, Lu was cured. Immediately, Tom says that he will go after her, but Hu forbids him to do so, as he knows that Lu is as powerful as a guardian and can still access dark magic. So Hu decides to travel to the temple to ask for the help of the other Zodiac warriors and, before leaving. However, the young man says he is not ready to carry this responsibility and blames Mr. Hu for his grandmother's perishment because as a Zodiac warrior, he had a duty to protect her. Furious, Tom tries to leave, but the spell cast on the door prevents him from leaving, and Hu says that, from now on, he will be his mentor. That night, when the young man lies down to sleep, his soul is transported to the spirit world and he has an encounter with the phoenix. Then the Firebird turns into a woman and Nukua introduces herself. The Empress says that Tom now belongs to two worlds, and when she touches his head, the young man wakes up. As he walks down the stairs of his new home, he finds the tiger paying tribute to his late friend and decides to accompany him. In this way, they both manage to say goodbye to Mei Ling properly and mourn her perishment. In the morning, Hu tries to wake Tom up, but the young man refuses to get up. So the feline decides to wake him up with a roar and takes him to the training room. To test his apprentice's skills, Hu challenges him to a duel, but the young man can't even touch him. At sunset, Lu manages to access the power of the phoenix and creates a spell to trap the souls of humans inside the amulet. While climbing to the top of the building, the warriors must defeat the creatures of darkness and clear a path to reach Tom. Together, they strike the witch, and Lu is unable to dodge their attacks. Despite taking a beating, she smiles, knowing that those beasts were too late. When the sun goes down, the sorceress absorbs the energy of all the souls she has stolen and, thanks to this power, is able to petrify all the warriors at the same time. Seeing his friends totally vulnerable, Tom finally manages to see the phoenix and, instead of fighting, he joins forces with the Firebird and helps it to free itself from the influence of darkness. Then, when Lu tries to touch the amulet, her body completely disintegrates and Tom has the chance to return all the souls that have been stolen. After saving humanity, the young man faints and falls from the building. Hu immediately jumps after him and uses his claws to try to soften his fall. When they both hit the ground, the tiger realizes that Tom isn't breathing and despairs when he sees the ghost cart approaching to take him away. Sydney gives Tom a sword as a gift. That same day, the trio travel to the Chinatown area and, upon arriving in an alley, come across some of Lu's demons. As Hu prepares to fight, the dragon appears and easily manages to get rid of those monsters by himself. The warrior then assumes her human form and Tom is impressed to meet Mistral. She says it will be a pleasure to train the young man to be a guardian and, upon hearing this, Hu becomes jealous, as Mei Ling has entrusted the care of her grandson to him. After a few minutes' walk, the group arrives at Cynthia's restaurant and heads to the kitchen, where the woman uses her magic to open a portal that takes them directly to the Temple of the 12. Upon arriving at the magical hideout, Sydney introduces Tom to the other entities of the Chinese horoscope, and the young man asks for their help in taking revenge on Lu. However, Hu claims that Tom wasn't brought to that sacred place to take revenge, but to learn how to be a guardian. When he finds out that Mei Ling has been eliminated, the rooster is furious and starts an argument with the tiger. To prevent the fight from escalating, Naomi the monkey decides to shrink the two and forces them to make up. When the pair return to their original size, the group realizes that Tom has disappeared and decides to go after him. Driven by his desire for revenge, the young man goes to the abandoned mansion where Sydney found Lu and picks up his sword to face the witch. While walking through the yard, he hears a noise and ferociously attacks the twisted logs around him until he realizes that it was a small squirrel that made the sound, which flees in terror after the attack. After this fright, Tom approaches the door and his body goes through it. At that moment, he discovers that the mansion is beautifully lit from the inside, which indicates that someone is living there. Minutes later, the Zodiac warriors appear and realize that the place is just an illusion created by a dark sorcerer. In an attempt to find Tom in time, the animals decide to split into two groups and go their separate ways. Meanwhile, Tom walks the halls of the mansion looking for Lu, without even realizing that his friends are there looking for him. Looking back, Naomi notices that she is being followed by an umbrella and discovers that the witch has used it to imprison some of her friends. Immediately, the rabbit uses his ears to strike the umbrella, but during the battle he ends up being captured along with the rooster. While investigating the mansion, Tom meets Rav and the girl is surprised to see him. He then asks what his classmate is doing there and Rav reveals that she lives in the house. Then the girl's adoptive mother appears and, realizing that the woman is the witch, Tom attacks her with his sword, but is petrified by Lu's magic. At that moment, the sorceress reveals her true appearance and undoes the illusion she has created inside the mansion. Frightened, Rav tries to understand what is happening and discovers that her mother is not who she thought she was. The witch then forces the girl to take Tom's necklace and is furious to discover that he is not with the phoenix. For 1,000 years, Lu has been trying to capture the amulet of the Firebird and orders Tom to reveal where he has hidden it. Just then, the uncaptured Zodiac warriors appear and unite to attack her, but the witch uses her umbrella as a shield and plans to eliminate them all at once. The sorceress then turns the mansion upside down and floods the house with seawater. While he is drowning, the rat almost has his body pierced, but manages to dodge the sword and the object opens a small crack in the wall. When the whole group is reunited, Sydney reveals that he has an escape plan and Naomi shrinks her friends so that everyone can get through the crack. In this way, they manage to escape through the pipe and are carried by the current until they reach the outside of the mansion. Frightened by everything that has happened, Rav thanks Tom and his friends for saving her and leaves. Just then, Who spots a group of demons flying towards the city and asks where Tom has hidden the amulet. The young man then tells him that he left the phoenix in a bowl of fortune cookies he found in Cynthia's restaurant. Over dinner, the group plan a strategy to save their friends who have been trapped in Lou's umbrella and decide to train Tom to become capable of defeating the witch. The first challenge the young man will have to face is learning to connect with the phoenix, which possesses the greatest power in this universe. In the wrong hands, this energy is completely destructive. On the other hand, when it's in the right hands, it has the ability to create anything. Lou intends to steal the power of the phoenix to destroy all of humanity and take the world into darkness so that she can reign for all eternity. In the first few days of training, Tom discovers how to control his body's energy and invoke protective spells. When he finally learns how to throw energy spheres, the young man almost causes a few accidents, and Hu asks him if he has managed to get in touch with the phoenix yet. Days have passed and Tom still hasn't managed to connect with the Firebird, so his mentor is furious. When Hu walks away, Mistral reveals that she sacrificed her life to save Tom when he was still a baby. During the battle against Lou, the tiger was eliminated and the ghost cart was already on its way to pick him up when Mei Ling gave him part of her soul and managed to save her friend. That afternoon, Tom decides to pay a visit to the house where he used to live, and, when he gets there, he finds his grandmother. Immediately, Mei Ling hugs the young man and he is very surprised to discover that she is alive. The young man is about to give the necklace to the old woman when Rav appears and reveals that this is not the real Mei Ling. At that moment, Lou attacks the girl and tries to use her as a shield, but Rav hits her and Tom throws an energy sphere at the witch. The pair then run off, but the sorceress gets through the wall and manages to steal the amulet from Tom's necklace. After accomplishing her goal, Lou leaves and the young man returns to the restaurant to ask his friends for help in recovering the phoenix. Frustrated at not being able to fulfill his duty, the young man isolates himself on the roof and the tiger goes to talk to him. At this point, Hu tells us that he has been looking after Tom from a distance since he was just a baby. After a brief conversation, the master makes peace with his mentor and says he will help him get the amulet back. The most efficient way to do this is through Tom himself, who needs to connect to the phoenix energy. Just then, the young man's presence is detected by Lou and she unleashes dozens of demons to go after him. In an attempt to buy time for the new guardian to recover the talisman, the Zodiac entities spring into action and use their powers to stop the creatures of darkness from getting close to Tom. Seeing the young man being chased, Hu decides to give him a lift and uses his claws to climb a building with the young man on his back. When he reaches the top, the tiger attacks Lou and strikes her with his claws, but the sorceress uses her umbrella to counterattack and, while trying to dodge the object, Tom almost ends up in the demon's clutches. Luckily, Hu manages to hold him back and Lou attacks them with dark magic, but Tom creates a protective barrier around them and manages to ensure their safety. However, when the witch uses her umbrella to produce a black hole, the young man ends up being sucked in and, to save him, the tiger ends up being taken in his place. Seeing his friend being imprisoned, Tom is furious and attacks Lou. After throwing a sphere of energy at the sorceress, he kicks her in the face, but ends up being paralyzed by her power. While the Guardian tries to find a way to defeat her, Sydney spots the magic umbrella gliding through the city and Rav manages to catch it with Naomi's help. There is a horde of demons on the loose, so they hide in a garbage can while the monkey uses her magic to free the Zodiac warriors, who unite to protect the Guardian. During the young man's fall, the tiger manages to catch up with him and they both fall into a dumpster. Since she doesn't have the Zodiac creatures to help her, Mei Ling starts a battle against Lou and, despite being weaker due to her age, she manages to defeat the witch. Afraid that something might happen to his grandmother, Tom returns home and is relieved to see her alive. However, just when the fight seemed to be won, Lou appears and Mei Ling realizes that she won't be able to defeat her. Determined to keep the phoenix safe, the woman gives the amulet to her grandson and then blows up the house, sacrificing her own life to eliminate the witch. Soon afterwards, the ghost cart appears to snatch the Guardian's soul and Hu takes Tom to the other side of the city. The tiger knows that his mission from now on is to keep the young man safe, because he's sure that's what Mei Ling would like him to do. Hu then decides to take him to his hideout and says that the young man will be the next guardian of the Phoenix. Ever since Empress Nukua used the Phoenix to create humanity, the forces of darkness have been trying to capture it, and Tom's lineage has been tasked with protecting that amulet. To prevent the young man from dying, Hu asks his friends to help him get in touch with Empress Nukua and begs her to unite her soul with the young man's, just as Mei Ling did with him, even though he risks dying in the process. In the end, however, everything turns out as expected and they both make it out alive. The group then returns to the temple. After helping to save the planet, Rav receives permission to accompany them and takes part in the ceremony where Tom is officially appointed as the new guardian of the Phoenix. From that day on, Hu and Tom lived together as a family, and the tiger used all the young man's free time to train him to be a warrior. One day, during training, the young man transforms and takes on the appearance of a tiger, leaving all his friends and his mentor impressed. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.